Imagine, if you will, a secret whispered among the dunes, a tale spun from the very heart of Saudi hospitality. What if the rich, aromatic Saudi coffee, so central to our gatherings, held a power beyond mere warmth and welcome? What if each sip, for a fleeting 10 minutes, transformed the ordinary into the extraordinary? This is the core of our curious tale, a brew that bestows temporary superpowers. For centuries, it has been a symbol of generosity, a bridge between hearts, and a staple of every home. Now it becomes something more, a fleeting taste of the divine. A 10-minute window precisely. Not a moment more, not a moment less. Just enough time to glimpse the impossible, to touch the edge of what humanity once deemed fantasy. It is a sip of destiny, a fleeting whisper of the extraordinary, leaving behind only wonder and a lingering question. At first, the world scoffed, dismissing it as a charming local legend. Then the undeniable proof emerged, shattering disbelief and igniting a global scientific frenzy. Laboratories buzzed with an energy never before seen as the greatest minds converged on this singular, baffling phenomenon. Scientists, with their microscopes and their meticulous notes, began dissecting every single coffee bean. They sought the hidden magic within its very structure, examining each particle as if it held the universe's greatest secret. Every roast, every grind, every subtle nuance of the bean became a subject of intense, almost obsessive study. The brewing process itself became a sacred ritual, analyzed with an almost religious fervor. From the temperature of the water to the precise moment of pouring, every variable was scrutinized. They hoped to unlock the precise alchemy that transformed simple beans into a conduit for incredible power. The quest to isolate the active compound became the scientific holy grail. Researchers toiled day and night, chasing an elusive particle, a magical molecule that seemed to dance just beyond their grasp. It was a maddening, exhilarating pursuit, filled with both breakthroughs and bewildering dead ends. This quest quickly transcended borders, becoming a truly global scientific effort. Nations pooled their resources, their brightest minds united by a common, astonishing mystery. The race was on, not just to understand, but to replicate this miraculous phenomenon. Yet, replication proved to be a stubborn, elusive dream. Every synthetic concoction, every engineered bean, failed to capture the essence of the original. The magic, it seemed, was intrinsically tied to the very soul of the Saudi coffee, a secret that refused to be easily unraveled. The immediate societal impact was nothing short of revolutionary. Suddenly, everyday tasks were performed with an unprecedented ease and efficiency. From the mundane to the monumental, human capabilities were enhanced in ways previously confined to the realm of myth. Consider the professional benefits that blossomed from this miraculous brew. A construction worker, after a quick cup, could lift impossible weights with a casual shrug. Beams that once required cranes now soared into place with a single powerful heave. Surgeons, with their hands guided by an unseen force, operated with superhuman precision. Delicate procedures became flawless, their movements so exact they seemed to defy the very limits of human dexterity. Lives were saved with an almost divine grace. Negotiators, armed with the gift of persuasion, found their words imbued with an irresistible charm. Deals were struck, conflicts resolved, and agreements forged with an ease that bordered on the magical. Arguments simply melted away before their compelling logic. Public safety improvements were perhaps the most heartwarming transformation. Crime rates plummeted as wrongdoers found themselves facing an entirely new breed of law enforcement. The streets became safer, the shadows less menacing. Law enforcement officers, empowered by their 10-minute boost, apprehended criminals with unprecedented speed and efficiency. A chase became a blur, a capture a certainty. Justice was swift, almost poetic in its execution. Emergency services, fueled by the coffee's magic, saved lives in previously unimaginable ways. Firefighters moved through infernos with impossible strength. Paramedics performed miracles on the spot. Every second counted, and now every second was maximized. Yet, like any great power, this miraculous brew possessed a dual nature. It was a double-edged sword, capable of immense good, but also harboring the potential for profound misuse. The very thing that uplifted humanity could also tear it asunder. Economic and control issues quickly emerged, casting a long shadow. The potential for immense misuse was undeniable, as individuals and nations alike coveted the power. The world teetered on the brink of a new kind of arms race. Black markets for coffee beans sprang up like weeds in the desert, thriving in the shadows. Smugglers risked everything to transport the precious cargo, their illicit trade fueling a dangerous underground economy. The demand was insatiable, the profits astronomical. Governments, desperate to maintain order and control, attempted to regulate the supply. Strict quotas were imposed, and international treaties were drafted. But the allure of power proved too strong for many to resist. The world became a chessboard of strategic alliances and covert operations. This struggle for control inevitably led to international tensions and potential conflicts. Nations eyed each other with suspicion, each wondering if the other was hoarding the magical beans. The once unifying brew now threatened to ignite global discord. Ethical dilemmas became the subject of heated, often agonizing debate. Who truly deserved access to this extraordinary power? Was it a right, a privilege, or a dangerous tool to be wielded only by the most responsible? How to prevent its abuse became the most pressing question of all. Could humanity be trusted with such a gift? Or would the 10-minute miracle ultimately reveal the darkest corners of the human heart? The world of sports was irrevocably altered, its very foundation shaken. The concept of fair play became a relic of a bygone era, replaced by a new, bewildering reality. Records that once stood for decades were shattered in mere moments. Athletes, with their 10-minute bursts of power, broke world records with an almost casual ease. The thrill of competition was replaced by a spectacle of the impossible, as human limits were not just pushed, but utterly obliterated. It was a new era of athletic gods. This led to immediate accusations of cheating, as purists struggled to reconcile the new reality with old ideals. Was it truly skill, or merely a temporary chemically induced advantage? The spirit of the game was lost in the pursuit of the extraordinary. The necessity for new regulations became painfully clear. Leagues scrambled to adapt, debating whether to embrace the power or ban it entirely. The very definition of sport hung in the balance, waiting to be redefined. The entertainment industry, ever quick to capitalize on the zeitgeist, saw an explosion of superhero-themed productions. Movies, shows, and games depicted a world where ordinary people could achieve the impossible, mirroring the new reality. The lines between reality and fiction began to blur in fascinating, sometimes unsettling ways. Real-life heroes emerged, performing feats that once belonged only to comic books. The world became a stage for everyday miracles. Performers, too, embraced the brew, creating spectacles that defied gravity and logic. Concerts featured singers whose voices resonated with impossible clarity, and dancers who moved with ethereal grace. Entertainment reached new, dizzying heights. This 10-minute miracle forced humanity to confront its own limitations in a profound way. For so long, our boundaries seemed fixed, our potential finite. Now, those walls had crumbled, revealing a vast, uncharted territory of possibility. It challenged our very understanding of what was possible, redefining human potential. The old benchmarks, the old dreams, suddenly seemed small and insignificant. A new horizon beckoned, filled with unimaginable achievements. It redefined our perception of ourselves, both individually and collectively. Were we merely fragile beings, or were we dormant gods waiting for the right catalyst? The mirror reflected a more powerful, yet also more vulnerable image. The question of societal evolution became paramount. Would this newfound power make us more ambitious, driving us to even greater heights of innovation and progress? Would we use it to solve the world's most intractable problems? Or would it lead to complacency, a reliance on the temporary boost rather than sustained effort? Would the magic make us lazy, dulling our drive for genuine self-improvement? The path ahead was uncertain, fraught with both promise and peril. The very nature of effort and reward was called into question. If greatness could be achieved in 10 minutes, what then of the years of dedication, the sweat and tears? The value of hard work seemed to diminish in the face of instant power. It sparked a global conversation about responsibility, about the true meaning of power. Was it a gift to be cherished or a burden to be managed? The world grappled with the weight of its newfound capabilities. Ultimately, the advent of the 10-minute miracle was a turning point in human history. It was a catalyst for change, reshaping societies, economies, and even our deepest philosophical beliefs. Nothing would ever be quite the same again. It became a profound test of humanity's ingenuity, morality, and adaptability. Could we harness this power for good, or would it consume us? The answer lay in the choices we made, the paths we chose to walk. As Saudi coffee, once a simple beverage, became a constant reminder of the potential that lies dormant within us all. It whispered of hidden strengths, of capabilities waiting to be unlocked, not just by a magical brew, but by the spirit itself. It taught us that the extraordinary might be closer than we think, perhaps just a sip away. And in that realization, a new chapter of human history began, brewed with wonder, steeped in possibility, and served with a dash of delightful mystery.